Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chiller Night Live, where from 8 p.m. Eastern Time until 9 o'clock, we'll talk about all things horror, science fiction, the paranormal. You pick the topic, and we will make a show out of it. Now, at the very end of I can't say last week's episode because I could not be here due to a project emergency I was working on. However, the week before that, Stephanie had come up with a topic, and it is the golden age of science fiction. So we'll be talking about that. I found a list we can go to. I didn't have much time to prepare for tonight's show. Been up at 4:45 and running. I just got home from went to work, came home from the store, so I am here now, barely. So hope everybody's having a good day and had a good week. And sorry I missed everybody last week. Stephanie says, hey y'all. Hey Stephanie, thanks for joining us. Bonehead says hello. Hey Bonehead. There he is. D says, good evening everyone. Good evening, D. Paul, hey, there's Paul. Good evening, beautiful family. How is everyone doing today? Doing pretty well. Glad to see you here tonight. Your superhero partner in crime here is Bonehead is here. Hey, hello, ChillerNight crew and Brian. Glad you are all back this week. Me too. But Brian says hello, everyone. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us. Paul says Space 1999. Remember that series? Martin Landau. He was on that show. All right, so Stephanie gives a thumbs up. All right, and speaking of thumbs up for liking things, if you haven't liked tonight's video, like it. I'm going to start saying that. I need more interaction here. Now I appreciate all the interaction I get converse-wise. But hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So I'm not used to saying that, but I need to do that. So help me out, help a guy out. And let's what am I doing here? Okay, so we are. Oh, and I want to mention every Saturday night, Chiller Night Theater. That's right. Jack Shadow hosts classic and not so classic chiller features from the days of yesteryear. So you can watch that every Saturday night at 9 p.m. on Stream TV at streammedia.tv. Streammedia.tv. I always like to repeat that. Now, if you've seen all the episodes, if you've seen them each half a dozen times, fear not, or yet. Go ahead and fear, because more episodes will be coming your way. At least that's the plan. That is what I'm working on. I'm like a mad scientist in my lab every day, folks. Getting a little wore out, but that's okay. It's this time of the year when I'm just going 100 miles an hour a minute. So let's see. But it says, just did it, Brian. Hey, thanks, Bennett. And I've been a sub for years now. Oh, well, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, probably all of you are. But I'll throw that out there just in case maybe somebody's new or maybe somebody's watching this later on. So, but I do appreciate that. I appreciate all of you guys. I'm sure everybody who's a regular viewer is a subscriber, and I do appreciate that. Paul says, how is my sidekick doing? Don't forget Manos, please, Paul says. No, as much as I try. Oh, Lord, I try, Paul. But I can't forget Manos. It's awful. But it says, great, Miss D. Man, I really missed everybody last week. I honestly didn't know what to do with myself on Tuesday night without the chat room, LOL. Oh, well, I'm glad we could be here this week. Yeah, we had a leak with the pole filter, and I was trying to get that. Dave and I had to do some emergency surgery on it and run to our closest Home Depot to get some plumbing for that. and come home and fix it. Bonehead says, I'm hanging in there, Paul. Hope you're doing well. Hey, all. All right, so we've got some. Al says, hey, everyone, it's ChillerNight. Did I read that already? If not, it's worthy of a second read nonetheless. So, Al, thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you're doing well. D says to Bona, exactly, last Tuesday had such an empty lull at 8 p.m. Ah. Oh, go on. Paul says, it's burned into your brain like mine. Yes. Well, so ChillerNight Theater. Like I said, I am planning on. I might not be able to do as many as I was hoping. I would have liked to. I'm still going to try to do at least a 9 episode run. Maybe I can only do 8. I don't know. But we'll see. Because I gotta start taping the ones that are going to be pre-taped. I have to get those like soon because I am so inundated with haunt stuff, and I have very strict deadlines that I have to meet in order to get done with all of this. So more fun. Paul says, has anyone seen Sinners? No, I have seen I've seen that on the screen as I'm scrolling looking for things, but is it on Netflix or Prime? I don't know that I've seen that. I didn't watch the movie, but I've seen it advertised. Jason says, hey Jason, thanks for joining us. Ghoulish evening to my fellow ghouls and to our supreme ghoul, Brian. Thank you, Jason. Let's see. Some salutations being exchanged here. SBC. Hey, SBC's there. Hello, everyone. Did I read that already? Maybe I did. But if not, again, just like Al, it's worthy of a second mention. Paul says, I missed you guys. How is Ava doing? He says. She is doing well. Thanks for asking. It's on HBO Max, Paul says. Okay, so the movie Sinners is on HBO Max. SBC says, I just saw a trailer for a horror version of Bambi. Really? Why are they doing this? They've done Winnie the Pooh and Popeye and Mickey Mouse. They had a Mickey Mouse one instead of a Steamboat Willie, wasn't it? Screamboat Willie or something? I don't know. Popeye and now Bambi apparently. All of our little cartoon characters from our childhood are being corrupted. John says, it's another Tuesday night, and you know what that means. It's time for the best 60 minutes on the internet. Oh, thank you. Welcome to ChillerNight Live. And that goes out to everybody as well. We all make the show. This is Crozak the Grand, and now here's our man of the hour. Here's Bryan Hogue. Thank you. Crozak the Grand, and John's giving a little wavy there. So am I. Bonin says, I'm glad to hear from everyone. You know, whenever the Tuesday night show gets canceled and I don't get to hear from the Chiller crew, I realize just how much I enjoy everyone and how special the yins are. Oh, thank you. I remember there was one night, and it wasn't that long ago. It was maybe within a month ago, I'm thinking. And I had to miss a Tuesday night, and it was a PBR Street Gang. PBR. He called me, and I guess there was a chat going on with some of you. I think he said that there were others, but I know that he called me on the business line here, which was really cool. The rate. There, the 814-209-8214 that we have for the business, and he just called to say hi and say that they're guys are missing me. So I thought that was really cool. So, but if you ever just feeling lonely, and call the number and 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 give me a hello, and I'll give you one back. Let's see, Bunny says, Miss Stephanie, golden age of sci-fi. Was that in the 50s? How are you, SBC? Blah, 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 blah. Stephanie says, don't forget 2001. Stephanie says, how about the golden age of science fiction? Okay, good. Kind of backtracking backwards here. Yes, the golden age of sci-fi movies from the 50s, 60s, kind of in that era. But now I went and I did not, as I said, I didn't have time because I've been running since basically since 4:45 this morning. Uh, right to work, came home, changed, went to the store, and I just got home. Didn't just minutes before this, so didn't really have time. But I did pull up a list. Now this is not my list. This is it's on IMDb, and it's a list by a DC Orvino, I'm guessing. So DC Orvino, if you somehow hear about this, thank you for providing a list. We'll get down to the list. I very hurriedly glanced at these, and I agree with quite a bit of these, the ones that I got a chance to see. But he has 11. So I'll go down the list. I'll let you know what he has, and of course, let me know what you have as well. So let's see. Let me see. Ava says, "Hey everyone, hey baby, thanks for joining us." Ava's on YouTube. Checking in on us. Bonin says, reason why I ask is I got a book that has the golden age of sci-fi stories from the 30s. Interesting. Sci-fi. Golden age. What is considered the golden age? I kind of consider that, I kind of view that as the 50s, but is there perhaps somebody can Google that. Maybe you already have. But what is considered the golden age? You always have the golden age of movies, the golden age of comics, the silver age, and stuff like that. So that maybe we'd do well to define exactly what we're talking about. Hello, Ava, Jason says. Bonin says, howdy, Miss Ava. Hope you're doing well. Paul says, don't forget Flash Gordon TV series in the 60s, black and white. With Buster Crabbe from the 60s. I think that was a little bit before that, but yeah, and Buck Rogers, black and white. Yes, and Paul, you probably know this if you are a fan of Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon from back in those days. Buster Crabbe played both. He played Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon. Plus, kind of neat. He also did a cameo on the series with Gil Gerard, Buck Rogers, back in the late 70s and early 80s. So, let's see. I think it's the 50s, but I don't know. That's why I asked Miss Stephanie. Bonin says, Jason says, I love the Golden Age serials, Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, and the black and white Batman serials. Yeah, remember that? And they also had the Superman serials with Kirk Allen playing Superman. I forget the actors who played Batman and Robin, but they actually had two different serials. Black and white ones of Batman. I know they had one of Captain America. And they had one of Captain Marvel, Shazam. And now Shazam, the Captain Marvel, was played by Tom Tyler. Now that kind of connects back to Chiller because Tom Tyler played in The Mummy's Hand from Universal. And I think it was for some reason, I almost said 1944, but that doesn't, I don't know if that sounds right. But Anyways, Tom Tyler did play the Mummy, and I've mentioned this before, just because I think it's so cool. They blackened out his eyes, for the movie. I just thought that was neat. In post production, they did that, so kind of animated over his eyes to make his eyes all blackened and dead. Brett says, "Hi, Brian." Hey, Brett, thanks for joining us. I was there working away on the haunted house a little earlier. Well, I was in the back, so I wouldn't have seen you if even if I'd seen you walk by, or if you did walk by. It didn't make sense, did it? Okay, and now I'll start on this list. I'll start on the list. Let's see. Now this D. Corvino or DC Orvino, he has 11 movies. We'll start off with The Time Machine, 1960. Okay, Time Machine, 1960. So his is 1960. I'm just going to go down the list. I'm going to name some, and we'll throw some out here. The Thing from Another World, 1951. The Thing from Another World, 1951. All right, now here's one. I don't know if that necessarily falls in the Golden Age, but Planet of the Apes, 1968. What is considered the Golden Age of science fiction?
The Golden Age of science fiction is generally considered to have started in the late 1930s and lasted until the mid-1940s. This answer is from...
Okay, so Paul was right on the time frame. I would have thought 50s, early 60s, but it actually is 30s and 40s. All right. So while we appreciate D. Corvino's list, he's off by a couple decades, and consequently, so are we. So, The Terror from Beyond Space, 1958. Forbidden Planet, 1956. First Men in the Moon, 1964. Earth versus the Flying Saucers, 1956. And then his number 8, again, he has 11 of them. Destination Moon from 1950. And then, let's see, number 9 is 20 Million Miles to Earth, 1957. Here's a good one. This Island Earth, 1955. And number 11 on his list is Journey to the Center of the Earth, 1959. So pretty cool. Whether that technically meets the criteria of the Golden Age, or it's still a pretty neat list. Brian, not making sense is my job, LOL, Bonehead says. Paul says, Star Trek original series. I love the original series. Tim Fink says, hey, Brian. Hey, Tim. Thanks for joining us. Neat to see you on here tonight. Let's see. Brad says, my father-in-law retired Friday after working as a financial advisor for 37 years at GE Transportation, now Wabtec in Erie, Pennsylvania. Now that's awesome. Wow, that's a long career. 37 years. Wow, that's a long time. That's a long time to give the workplace. So congratulations for your father-in-law's his retirement. Thanks for joining us, Brad, by the way. Prehistoric Planet, Paul says. And I was wondering where the springboard was into. Okay, here we go. Even more awesome than the 1931 horror films Dracula and Frankenstein, coming to public domain in January of 2027. Thank you, Brad. I was looking for it. Okay. Bonehead says, well, you didn't see the trouble, chaos, and confusion Bonehead causes. Battle Beyond the Stars, Paul says, I remember that one. I saw something today, and it was funny you would mention that. I saw something, I think it was today. Maybe it was yesterday, but I'm pretty sure it was today. About either a remake of Battle of the Stars or a sequel. And I can't tell you any more than that. It was a modern, updated, maybe it was somebody's fan favorite like a lot of people make these. It wasn't a trailer; it was just like a poster. So who knows if that was real or if that was just a fan-made thing? But I thought it was neat. I remember seeing that when it was on TV. Leslie Nielsen, Prehistoric Planet. Paul said, "Yeah, yep." John says, "Man in Space is a great TV series that gives us a look into the future of space exploration." Man in Space. It's a TV series. Okay. About when? When was that? Was that like before the moon landing? Was that before then or after? So kind of curious. Bonin says, "I am really quite good at causing confusion and annoying people. I ain't proud of that fact, just stating the obvious truth." Okay. Everyone's got to have a talent, so don't sell yourself short there, Bonehead. SBC says, "As for Star Trek, the original series is so great. I love," and he's giving the little Vulcan. See, see, I can do it. The little live long and prosper. Paul says, "By far SBC. Land of the Lost." Brett says, "Yeah, now we're just kind of, the old sci-fi series are kind of cool too, though." Yeah. So we are really off from what Stephanie's original topic was. So I mean, feel free to throw those in. So Paul did with the Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. Those turns out from asking the phone from Siri that was the golden age of 30s and 40s. Interesting. Bonus says, "I agree. SPC Star Trek, the original series, is the best." Yes, I 110% agree with that. That is a true statement there. Nothing better than the original series. And does anybody have a favorite episode? I'll tell you, my favorite episode is the Doomsday Machine. And Jason, I just saw your name on there, and I know that you had I forget what Space 1999 with Martin Landau was great. Jason says, "Yeah, yeah, I remember watching that as a kid." You had mentioned something about Star Trek. Gosh, what were we messaging, or was it a post where it was a kind of a parody of Moby Dick or something like that, wasn't it? And I said, "Do you remember this? Do you remember the exchange we had? Wasn't that long ago?" But I said Doomsday Machine. Oh, Jaws. I think we were saying something about Jaws. Am I remembering that right? This isn't helping you guys at all. I know that. I realize that. But I do remember it kind of had the Captain Ahab type of obsession and willing to sacrifice ship and crew to carry out your obsession and destroying the white whale. So that's and white whale, of course, the Doomsday Machine, even kind of, cylindrical shape to it, kind of like a whale. Where am I at? Tom says, "Only 75 weeks left before Frankenstein and Dracula are PD." Yeah. When is that, Brad? It was January of 2027. Leslie Nielsen was in Forbidden Planet, Jason says. Oh, is that? Yeah. I remember him in one of those. I was at Forbidden Planet. But it says, "I love all the big bug movies from the 50s. Yes. I think I've watched them all about 100 times. Those were the best too, just watching in the late night, watching Chiller Theater, watching all that stuff. And there was a show on Saturdays. I think it was Saturdays. Pretty sure it was. I remember Science Fiction Theater. I remember they used to play stuff like that. Pat Savan won. Hey, Patty, thanks for joining us. The original Buck Rogers book takes place in Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah, is that right? I didn't know that. Or did you mention that in a message with me? Something about that sounds a little familiar. I'm kind of thinking that you brought that up to me at one time. Big fan of any sci-fi movies from the 50s and 60s. Stephanie says, yes, I agree with you there. Brad says, should that be a hint? Include for Jack Shadow to unretire for those two 1931 horror films coming to the public domain in January of 2027. Brian, LOL. Maybe. Who knows what lurks within the skull, under the hat of the dreaded Jack Shadow? We shall see. We shall see. SBC says, in 5 or 10 years, when AI movies are good enough, someone will have to make a Star Trek episode where they meet Manos. Jeez. Star Trek Doomsday Bugles. Yeah. Al says, mine too, Brian, the Doomsday Machine. Yeah, the Commodore Decker, was that his name? The actor who played that part. Man, that was so cool. He did such a good job. Good actor. They did horrible fight scenes. Awful. I don't know who taught these people, the fight choreographers, in Star Trek, the original series was horrible, but everything else. But I did like the old fisticuffs, Captain Kirk. He handled things I dealt with, old school with him, many times. You're right, Jason. Thanks for the correction. Paul says, all right. I didn't think of that either, Paul. So I'm with you. Yeah, but that's right. Jason says, yes, it was Moby Dick and the Doomsday Machine. Good episode. Yes. Jeff says, The Thing from Another World, 1951, is my all-time favorite horror sci-fi movie. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that one. Thanks for joining us, Jeff, by the way. Tom says, original series also had the most cringy episodes, too. Spock's brain and the way to Eden. Yeah, Spock's brain. Remember that? Oh, my gosh. Yeah, they had some doozies there. And not in a good way. Good way. SBC said the episode with the Tribbles. Yeah, that's kind of a big fan favorite episode there. Trouble with Tribbles, Paul says. Men into Space, aka Space Challenge, was shown on TV from 1959 and 1960. Oh, really? Okay. AKA Space Challenge. Was it a? Here I go with more questions. But was it a an American series, American-made series, or was this British? Sometimes when you see the AKA, not always, but sometimes you have maybe a British or an Italian even. Of course, I can't imagine that being an Italian series. Paul says The Enemy Within. Kimberly says, hi, Brian. Hey, Kim, thanks for joining us. We are talking about... Oh, I didn't even catch the BRIAN, then you corrected it to YAN. Thank you. No, I didn't see that, but thank you for joining us. We are talking about the topic of the night, golden age of science fiction. Films or TV series, anything science fiction. I suppose you could even throw comic books in there. Doesn't matter. We've mentioned some novels along the way. And we also read from IMDb a list of 11 of them that were decades off from what actually the Golden Age is. But we didn't care. We were having fun. And that's what we're doing in the night. Jason says science fiction theater and Saturday afternoons was incredible. Spooky theme song and intro. I know. That had a very creepy intro music, and I still remember. I wish I could find that on like the intro, like on YouTube and stuff. I've looked for it, but where would you even find something like that? I mean, YouTube. but I haven't seen it. Was that out of Pittsburgh? I just wonder. I don't know. But that was, I loved watching science fiction theater every Saturday. Let's see. Patty says Star Trek favorite Mirror Mirror. Ah, good episode. William Wyndham. Tom says low bone. Kirk always kicked ass. Paul says, yeah, he did. Who's William Wyndham? Who is William Wyndham? Look like a what? I don't know if that's the same one you're referring to, because this one looked like he composed music or something. Aha! Ah, William the actor who played Decker. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, I didn't recognize that name. I did not know that. Let's see. What was he known for? His roles in popular television series such as Matt Decker in Star Trek. I remember the fictitious name Decker. Dr. Seth Hazlett in Murder, She Wrote. Glenn Morley in The Twilight Zone, and is also known for his voice as Puppetino in Pinocchio and The Emperor of the Night. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Honestly, can't pick a favorite Star Trek, the original series episode, because I like so many of them. LOL, Bonehead says. Brad says, thank God for people like me to keep your ChillerNight haunted house store afloat because of people like me. All right. I appreciate everybody. And people like Brad. SBC says, I have to watch the old Star Trek episodes again in the correct order if I can find the unedited version. Yeah. I have all those, and how far? Oh my gosh, how far behind am I? I'm gonna shoot ahead here because I am so far behind. Yes, Brian, it was American made and played on CBS Network. John says, "Oh, okay, cool, thanks for that, there, John." Let me scroll up ahead, and if I'm missing your comments, I am sorry. William Wyndham was Commodore Decker. Yes. That name did not sound familiar to me for some reason. Decker did, but I remember that, but not the name. How about a movie called Star Wars? Anyone ever heard of it? Hal says. Paul says, got to go, family. See you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Beam me up, Scotty. Love you, family. Be safe out there. All right, Paul, thanks for joining us. Jason says, Balance of Terror is my favorite Star Trek episode. It first introduced the Romulans and was based on submarine warfare. Yes. Boy, we could really have a really good Star Trek episode. It seems like everybody here is a Star Trek fan, or at least you appreciate the series to the extent that where you're. Seems like a lot of you are knowledgeable on that. SPC says, sci-fi is a genre that constantly reinvents itself. Just think about the fact that today we have robots that deliver food and cars that drive themselves. That was all still sci-fi in the 2000s. Yes. Bonin says, yes, we appreciate Brad reminding us each and every week about the Drac and Frankie movies. Yes, in January 2027. Tom says, City on the Edge of Forever won a Hugo Award and a Writers Guild Award as well. Best written ins, in my honest opinion. That's neat. That's pretty cool. What I liked about Star Trek: The Original Series, though, you know, if you were an actor at the time playing on that series, and you know, would you what I liked about, you know, Shatner and Nimoy and DeForest Kelly, you know, the three of those guys made it seem like you were watching, like they didn't take it like they were, you know, doing the Power Rangers or something. I don't know. I've never seen that, but I mean, you know, they didn't look at it like a kids movie or something like that. They looked at it as, or at least watching it, it seems like they were putting acting into it. They were putting something into it, and I think that that's why all these years later, we still can enjoy and relate to a lot of that stuff. Um, Overacting in some occasions, maybe, but better to overact sometimes than to underact, you know? So, Harlan Ellison wrote it. This City on the Edge of Forever. Okay. Well, there's a future topic then, Brian. Yeah. I probably want to be nice and prepared for that one because I am such a, I don't talk about it as much as Star Wars, and I don't remember as much about it as Star Wars. All I know is I've watched every episode several times, and I have them all, and I even the animated series. Remember that back in the '70s, the early '70s. I have those, and the Next Generation. I do have those as well, but most of those seasons I have on DVD. But of course, the original series to me is always going to be the best. Patty says Mark Leonard played a Romulan, a Klingon, and Stick's Vulcan father. Spock's Vulcan father. Yeah. Yes. Did he not also play in Planet of the Apes? Am I thinking of that right? John says, if you're a fan of Japanese show, you might want to check out Ultra Q. This series has sci-fi elements, mysterious creatures, and other elements that the series very interesting. Ultra Q, the Q means mysterious encounters. All right, check that out. Thanks for the information there, John. Ultra Q. All right, pretty neat. Jason says Star Trek predicted the cell phone, and the 2001 Space Odyssey predicted the iPad. Yeah. They should have called him Sticks in the series, Tom said. Yeah, Sticks, Vulcan father. SBC said, the crew of the Enterprise beams down onto an unobstructed platform. They discover a building in the fog that looks like a medieval castle. They enter, and there he stands before them. Jack Shadow. Oh, I like it. Jason says, Kirk's risk is our business speech from the original series episode Return to Tomorrow is a must-see. Yes, that is a good one. Yes. Absolutely. That's a good example. That's a good example there of the acting. You know, I don't know. I enjoy it. I can see, man, these guys were putting in an effort. You know, you could feel those episodes, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that they didn't just think, we're just gonna get in here, make a paycheck, get a paycheck, and man, they turned that into something, didn't they? I mean, I enjoy watching the big three, you know, Kirk, McCoy, and Spock. Those are, you know, there'll never be another three like that. Let's see. The original. But it says, yeah, you didn't want to wear a red shirt in Star Trek. It usually didn't end well for those that did, LOL. No, Scotty made it through, though. Oh, boy. Good for Scotty. SBC says, I've never seen the animated series. Oh, is that right? Yeah. Yeah, check it out if you get a chance. And one of the, all the actors, most of the actors came back. But there was one of the helmsmen, I think it might have been Sulu, George Takei, who I could be thinking of Walter Koenig for maybe Chekhov's. One of them didn't come back, so they had like an alien guy sitting there at the helm. But it was kind of cool because you got to see some other characters. You got to see like this cat lady who was like part of the crew. It was kind of neat because they could be a little bit more creative with some of the crew members there and make them into aliens in the Federation. Ultra Q and Ultraman are both great Japanese sci-fi series. Bonehead says, "Oh yeah, I used to watch Ultraman every day after school." Brad says, "I mean, why need AI when you have me?" Okay, yeah, really. That's a very good question. Um, Tom says, animated series was very decent classic Star Trek writing. Most of the same writers contributed. Yeah, that's true. Um, and I believe even I just mentioned Walter Koenig, the guy who played Chekhov. I believe now he's a very avid science fiction writer, and I believe that he contributed to some of the writing as well as like DC Furtado and all these other writers that did work on the original series. I think he contributed to that as well, and I have to wonder, did Donald F. Glute, did he contribute to that? I've had him on Chiller Chat before, and I bring that up because um, when he was on Chiller Chat and I was interviewing him, I know he did so much cartoon, like the stories, like a lot of Saturday morning cartoons. I'd see his name, and I recognized it even back then because I had the novelization of The Empire Strikes Back, so I recognized his name, and I did see it come up, watching the Super Friends or Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends or Tarzan or something. I don't know. You'd see his name, so I just wonder. I just wonder. Mental mind torture is something else, ain't it? But it says. Miss Stephanie, did you ever see the Invisible Woman movie from the 1940s? It was a comedy and it was something else, LOL. It's interesting. I've never seen that one. Tom says, the actors not asked to be animated for the animated series were asked to direct at least one of the episodes, if not more. Nimoy said he wouldn't do it if they didn't. Yeah. I remember hearing about that. That he took a stand and said that he wanted them involved. I forget exactly how that went. Like, were there some that they were not going to? Forget how that went, but I do remember that. Yeah, Leonard Nimoy said that he kind of stood up for the rest. Dave Davies, hey DJ Dave, hey, how you doing there? Thanks for joining us tonight. SBC says, one thing that never made any sense is why the Klingons suddenly look so different in the new episodes. Yeah, they were looking just humans with like dark hair, a certain hairstyle, and dark eyebrows. And then all of a sudden in the Star Trek, the motion picture that came out, and they had the something was up with their forehead. I was wondering about that too. I know that it's been kind of vaguely explained, but not on anything that I've ever watched. I've heard that it was explained, but I don't know. I don't know what the explanation is. Brad says it sure is. I don't mean to sound like a broken record. Oh, and then Bonehead says repeat. Is that it? I don't. Yeah, I did Bones. Funny as heck. Stephanie says. Tom says Conan only directed for example. Oh, he only directed those. I know he's a a big sci-fi writer then. Well, maybe he wrote for Doctor Who or something. Um, I'm not gonna look it up now, but I'll wait until we do a Star Trek, an actual Star Trek episode, where I have my notes. Brett says, when I got to work this morning at 6:30, I was positive I saw Jeff standing out by the mall office. Oh! That would be, that'd be something, huh? Well, say hi. See if he answers. Jeff, a good, very good guy, very good man. The mall manager who sadly passed away. Was it not this, not last summer, the summer before, but yeah, I don't know. Some of the security seemed like they see him, they hear him. I would almost not be. Jeff has been part of that mall since, and I really liked it. I could sit. I have actually sat for hours talking to him about just guns and stuff. But he'd been with the mall since he was part of actually constructing the mall back in like 79, 80. I don't know when they started to build that, but you never know. If a spirit, a consciousness beyond the body could attach itself somewhere. I do, and I say that seriously because I believe that, if you had such a strong connection to a place, why not? Why not? Why wouldn't that be possible? And it says, I watch a lot of those black and white monster and sci-fi movies from the 40s and 50s, and I'm hooked on them. Yeah. SBC says, I once saw a movie, the woman in the invisible bikini. It was a comedy. Okay. I'm just. Brad says, can you believe that these movies and TV shows are probably going to be in the public domain in the next few decades? Oh yeah, yeah. Tom says, Conan played Chekhov. Yes. Stephanie says, hey SB, don't you mean Ghost in the Invisible Bikini? Here's another one for you, Miss Stephanie. The Black Cat, starring Basil Rathbone and Broderick Crawford. It's a comedy horror and it's a classic. Please check it out. Brad says, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. That's right, Ozzy Osbourne passed away today. I saw that at the end of the workday. I happened to see that hitting the news. Jason says, Chekhov was not in the animated series. Short-lived, just like the Planet of the Apes animated series. Planet of the Apes. Yeah, the Planet of the Apes series. The animated series. Oh, yeah. That's right. They had the live action Planet of the Apes series, and then they had the animated. I watched both of those. Wow, it's 8:50. What the heck? Brad, did Ozzy die when? You're kidding. No, he did. He passed away today. Just today. Tom says 2 seasons. 2 seasons? Of what? The animated? Was the animated 2 seasons? Brad says this morning he was 76. Let's see. Jason said Leonard Nimoy was great in the remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah. He was the author guy, right? If I remember right. Yeah. Does anybody? Yeah. Well, we got 9 minutes left. Should I even ask if anybody knows why the Klingons physically look different between the series, the original series, and the movie, the motion picture? Does anybody, if you a brief explanation, maybe? SBC says, I don't watch the news anymore. I can't live without knowing who died. Yeah, sometimes it's okay. Yeah, take a break. Sometimes it's good to take a break from the news. Well, and you're saying you don't watch the news anymore, but yeah, sometimes that's good. Bonin says, "Oh no, wow, I didn't know that. Thanks, Brad and Tom, for letting me know. Geez, I really am out of touch with the world around me." Not really. I mean, it did happen today, but I didn't hear about it till like the end. Like it was almost the end of the shift, and I just happened to look down on on the online, and I was like, oh, all right, someone saying Ozzy passed away. But I was like, okay, that's one person I happen to know, an acquaintance on Facebook, so I'll wait because there are a lot of times you get these celebrity death hoaxes. Not that that I'm thinking like Ozzy was in the epitome of great health or anything like that. But I mean, still, I mean, I didn't know. I didn't know if it was true. But then I started seeing it like on official sites and stuff like that. Um, Jason says Nimoy had a better career in the years between the end of Star Trek and the first movie. Yeah. Yes, he did. Tom says, from what I remember, live action Planet of the Apes was only one season. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was only one season. And I have those on DVD. And I had a bootleg video many, many years ago from back in like 2000 or 2001 of the animated Planet of the Apes. But I do remember watching it. I don't know how many seasons that was of the animated, unless that's what you're talking about with the 2 seasons. But that was weird. It was a little strange because I don't know if it was the same timeline. Did they think about stuff like that? Oh, Land of the Lost. Okay, Brett had mentioned Land of the Lost. And I think Walter Koenig did write episodes of Land of the Lost. I'm not going to let that go because I know that there was something on here we had mentioned. And Walter Koenig, I know, wrote for him. Maybe it wasn't the animated, but Land of the Lost. I bet you if you look that up, you'll see that might have been the case. Patty says, stay safe all. All right. Thanks for joining us, Patty. Brad says, all I know that Ozzy ate a live bat's head off. Well, he's Jack Shadow has a worse track record with bats, I think, and killing them than Ozzy. But Ozzy's is more famous, no doubt. There's no question there. Bonin says, well, Brian, there's another reason why I really enjoy everyone in the ChillerNight crew. They all keep me informed about current events. Yeah. Jason says, we have done dystopian movies as a theme, but how about a nuclear war horror movie theme? That may be too narrow. We can. The best I can do now until maybe November is possibly just like I did tonight. I had no preparation for this just because I physically and I just don't have. But if you're okay with me just pulling up a list and you guys basically, I'm resounding off of what you guys are throwing at me. That's sounds fine to me. I'm good. I'm good with that. Worf was asked about the difference. Okay, Tom's saying something that I vaguely remember. Worf was saying something about they don't mention it or something like that. Let me see. Worf was asked about the difference between the two kinds of Klingons. He said Klingons don't talk about it either. Non-Klingons. Can't remember which show it was. Might have been Deep Space Nine. I think you're right. And that was the explanation to kind of brush it off. He said, well, we don't talk about it or something like that. But you're saying to non-Klingons. Okay. Bonin says, long live Keith Richards. Yeah, he's still kicking, isn't he? Patty says, quote, warfare. Don't talk about it from, we don't talk about it. From Deep Space Nine, Triple remake. Okay. We don't talk about it. SBC says, I would guess that the Klingons received the deformations to not look so much like Russians anymore, but that's just my speculation. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to look that up when we do a Star Trek one. D or Evan D. says, one of the voice actors in the animated Planet of the Apes also did Fred Flintstone's voice, Henry Corden. Really? That's pretty cool. D or Evan D? That's neat. Didn't know that. Brett says, I love talking with Jeff. Yeah, I could talk to him for hours, and I did. So D says, one of the voice actors. Oh, okay. I read that one, but it was under the different account there. Take care, Pat. John says, well, or when I said that this is the fastest hour on the internet, I wasn't kidding, was I? No. You have been watching and participating in Chiller Night Live with Bryan Hogue. This is Crozak the Grand reminding you, check the weather and plan your day or weekend accordingly. And now there's only 102 days till Halloween. Until next week, stay chilled and keep thrilled. Yes, thank you, John. Brett says, I'll be at work tomorrow evening. I'll see you there. I'll be there working at the haunted house again. Bonin says, before everyone starts heading home, thanks, ChillerNight crew, for being the best. Each and every one of yous is the absolute best. Oh, thank you, Bonehead. Thank you. Let's see. Trials and tribulations. Jeez. Was that a... Don't know. That was. Are you? Is that a zinger, or is that wasn't the name of an episode? Was it? Good night, everybody. Brad says, good night, Brad. Thanks for joining us. Jason says, thank you again, Brian, for continuing to provide us with an hour of escapism and entertainment. Oh, thank you, Jason. You are very welcome. That being said, please always remember and never forget the ChillerNight crew is awesome. Oh, that's very cool. Thank you, Bunhead. Patty says, in Enterprise, they hinted that it was to save them from a virus, changed DNA to more Earth-like. Oh, yeah? Interesting. Tom says, okay, you all you ne'er-do-wells, see you next week. All right, Tom, thanks for joining us. Stephanie says, take care. See you all next week. All right, Stephanie, thanks for joining us tonight. Bunny says, good night, Brad. See you next week. Thanks again for letting me know about Ozzy. R.I.P. Yes. Tom says, yes, that was the episode title. Ah. Was it really? Bonus says, to quote the immortal Dave Allen, good night, thank you, and may your God go with you. Yes. Tom says, only 75 Chiller Night shows until Frankenstein and Dracula are PD. D says, night, y'all, same bat time, same bat channel next Tuesday. Yes, good night, D. All right, so it is 9 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me and each other for another night of Chiller Night Live. So until then, we'll see you next Tuesday, everybody. So have a good night. Have a good Chiller Night.